Hello, my name is swissbianco. In this video I will talk about a typical Swiss farmer pocket knife, relative old one. This one is also interesting because this is made by Victorinox company way long time ago. The stamp, as we're gonna see in a minute, is Victoria, and that is a bit a knife that is not too common anymore, not in Switzerland, not in USA either. They are hard to find, and in all the years that I look for Swiss Army knives and related products back then in Switzerland, I only found one, this one here, in a good condition. Back then in the 80s and 90s already, the time was long gone for that style of knife, so that was no more a typical farmer style or pocket knife style for Swiss people. I never saw anybody carry one of those either. That was already a thing in the past, and a piece of history that I want to show here. Not only France and Italy and Spain had different shapes and styles of pocket knives, in Switzerland we had that too. Until then the Swiss Army knife did take over most of the places of that, and the other shapes in the past did fade away for whatever reason that did. So this one is a typical farmer, what we would call farmer knife, with a couple tools. We have a 3-layer pocket knife. It's a simple slip joint version with bolsters, nickel silver bolsters. We have a horn, a stag, material as handle. It's nicely made and revetted in a revetted construction. The main blade, we have a typical made in Solingen or in an Italian place like Maniago. That is too long time ago, but that did catch on in Switzerland as well. And we see here on the tank stamp Victoria, Switzerland. So they did already plan on exporting those knives as well. That is why Switzerland is in English there and not Schweiz or Swiss. We see also the nail nick in it there. As we're gonna close that blade, there is on the side a nail nick for the saw blade. We see in front the saw blade. This is a saw that you pull back, not push forward. That makes sense, as if you push it forward and it gets stuck, you may slip with the hand forward into the saw. Also remember the way how that item was made back then. It is forged and made basically like pretty much like a custom knife, with a lot of handwork, like the wartime Swiss Army knives as well. So that is not the absolute CNC and mass production that we have nowadays. As I gonna close that, we have then the main screwdriver, a big screwdriver that did come in handy back then as well. The people had more items, or get up with more items that need a screwdriver, and we see there is no can opener, no bottle opener, so that was not needed back then yet. But still, to have a screwdriver for put it on a screw that you may encounter on a machine on the farm. So that is that one. And then what also was really important back then was the awl, to have a long and pointy awl. Back then the people had horses on the farm. They needed an awl pretty much daily, as we would use a scissor or something like that. Today pretty much daily they did use the awl, because there were a lot of items using leather that you need to punch a hole in a leather for on the belt or on the for the horse carriage items that were made out of leather. You need the punch. There is a multitude of other tasks that we not even think about it in our days, because that is so long time ago, and the world back then was really different. So awl was absolutely important, and it had to be quite a long awl as well. The pictures and the information from older catalogs all show mainly a longer awl like this one, and only later the shorter awl that had a bit a cutting edge from the, in this case the 93mm Alox, was changed. We see it's a good bit shorter, about 20mm for sure. So over time the requirements on a pocket knife did change, next to the materials, of course, the design of the tools, and yeah, we see here a piece of the past that is the only one that I have in my collection. I did think I'm gonna share that, even as it is not a Swiss Army knife in that regards. It's still a piece of history from Victorinox. They, at a certain time, they made a lot of those knives, and it's too bad that they pretty much all are gone and used up or simply thrown away at one point of time. In Switzerland we have anti-gun movement, and say the women are many times even against knives. So, and I saw that personally many times, as well as older people pass away that had like older men did pass away. They had gathered up a couple knives in a maybe in a cigar box or something, a couple Swiss Army knife, and maybe one of those, and maybe a smaller classic that they got as a gift from the company that they work with, and such. Many, as the owners are gone, the daughters or the wives not gonna want to deal with it. They simply put it in the trash and off it goes. So many of those knives that were in a, and that still happens today, that is not a thing of the past, that still happens now, quite likely right now as we talk about it. So many of those items get destroyed simply to get rid of them the most easy way over in Switzerland, and I'm sure with other places as well. So it's kind of sad, but this one gonna stay in my study collection, and if you ever see one in nature, have a look. It's interesting, even as it is no Swiss Army knife, it's still a part of the Swiss culture. Back then we had many farmers, many people worked with farming, and they needed a knife too, everyday carry knife in the pocket. And prior they did switch more towards the Swiss Army knife, because they did know that or get that from the military time. They had mainly such knives like this one here. So that much about the traditional Swiss farmer knife.